of abortion, and he brings us up to date on where the battle lines are drawn. Senator, so much confusion about this, whether the reality of the Hyde Amendment is reflected in some of this legislative language. Where do you see that this stands?
Well, as you know, before the Hyde Amendment, there were 300,000 federally paid for abortions. That's why the Hyde Amendment came about. We're trying to just put the Hyde Amendment into this bill. Why? Because this is not part of the appropriations process. Hyde has to be reauthorized every year. This bill will operate on its own, and if we don't have language in there prohibiting abortion, except to save the life of the mother and or rape or incest, which is what Hyde allows, then this is a wide open thing, and the language in the bill is very inadequate. So almost everybody in the Right to Life community is up in arms about it, and I'm glad that Senator Nelson is willing to co-sponsor this with me. He's the lead sponsor, and he's indicated that he'll vote against cloture and vote against the bill if this amendment, if our amendment doesn't pass. And I hope he'll live up to that.
Do you see the possibility, though, of if Democrats don't necessarily have Ben Nelson's vote, do you see the possibility of them picking up a Republican vote, say from Olympia Snowe, on this issue?
I really don't. I just don't think Olympia's going to go for this because they have not negotiated in good faith. Think about it. The Help Committee bill in the Senate was a total Democrat bill, not 1 ounce of Republican input. The House bill was a total Democrat bill between the House and the White House, not 1 Republican input. The Senate bill now is the Reid bill, which without 1 Republican being asked to have input. I would think that any Republican that is asked to co-sponsor this bill would have to say, no way, you haven't been fair, you haven't been open, you haven't been transparent, you haven't tried to work with us, and if you can't get 75 to 80 votes on a bill like this, you know it's a lousy bill, and this is really one whopping lousy bill.
Well, you mentioned Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid. He had some interesting remarks about Republican opposition to the health care bill. Let's take a listen, and I want to get your reaction.
Joining us on the right side of history, all Republicans can come up with is this: slow down, stop everything, let's start over. If you think you've heard these same excuses before, you're right. When this country belatedly recognized the wrongs of slavery, there were those who dug in their heels and said, slow down, it's too early, let's wait, things aren't bad enough. When women spoke up for the right to speak up, they wanted to vote. Some insisted they simply slow down. There'll be a better day to do that. Today isn't quite right. When this body was on the verge of...
So Senator Reid there seems to suggest that those who want to start over on health care are basically equivalent to those who opposed slavery and opposed women's suffrage. Senator, your reaction?
That is extremely offensive. If you go back into the civil rights debate, it was the Republicans who helped get it through. If you go back to women's rights, Republicans have always been there. You're talking to the person who did the Americans with Disabilities Act with Tom Harkin from Iowa. And I could go on how Republicans have worked in all of these areas. Now, that's offensive language. Harry's a friend, but he shouldn't have used that language. It's offensive, unnecessary, really a slap in the face to all Republicans, and I think a slap in the face to Democrats that use language like that. But to make a long story short, they're frantic. They want this bill. And to compare this to civil rights, my gosh, a one-sided, total Democrat bill where every Republican amendment has been slapped down. When we have 6 Republican bills, but we only have 40 votes, we know we can't get them through. But they also know there are a lot of areas where we could have had a bipartisan bill that would really work, where we could work together. Areas, everything from pre-existing conditions being covered by insurance to wellness and prevention programs that would work, to making sure that we pay for these things and not take $500 billion out of Medicare at a time when Medicare is $38 trillion in unfunded liability and going insolvent by 2017. What they're trying to do here is really push more and more people into Medicare and Medicaid and make this a total single-payer system in our government, in our country, so that the federal government controls everything. And you know, they're even going to subsidize the cost of health insurance for people who earn $88,000 a year. Now tell me if that's the right thing to do. The bottom 50% of this country, they don't pay income taxes now. They pay about 3%. About 40% of them get stuff from the government. They want to get that up to 60%, so everybody in the country starts, the vast majority start thinking the only way they can survive is with the almighty federal government. And you can't do that if you kill the private sector and you kill the money machine that really will pay for all this. And that's what they're doing. It's just awful.
Senator, bring a little passion to the table next time we talk to you.
Well, I'm not, you can see, hey, when they use language like that, that's not only offensive, it's language that should never be used. Never be used.
Senator Orrin Hatch.
Those days are not here now. I'll tell you that right now. We're fighting for what's right here.
Senator Orrin Hatch, Republican of Utah. Thank you.
The economy, Afghanistan, and health care reform, just some of the tough issues facing Democrats heading into the